bring to this neighborhood a non-stop talk alternative. A constant barrage of eye-opening conspiracies and ad-libbed innuendo. Too bad there's only 24 hours in a day. Or is there? Give me liberty or give me death, but only the kind of liberty you find in a controlled, well-regulated society.
Guns don't kill people. The government does.
La 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 What's up? Welcome everybody. Sorry for the extended musical intro. That was a little bit of gratuity to a hero of mine who you're looking at on the thumbnail, Alan Partridge, which is the inspiration for tonight's theme, Knowing T, Knowing You, and that's why we heard a little bit of the Alan Partridge intro there from his fictitious chat show, Knowing Me, Knowing You, in which he used ABBA's famous song there as his catchphrase. Aha! So anyway, guys, welcome. It is Tuesday. It is night 2 of Tsp Tv 2-year celebration, 2 weeks with T. My goodness, that's a lot of T's there. And knowing T, knowing you just adds to the T load. How you doing, guys? Welcome to those of you that have bothered to tune in and join us at 9 p.m. Eastern this Tuesday night, the 17th of November. So we have had a little bit of deep thinking, thought-provoking content as of late, and tonight I thought, you know what, let's change it up. Let's go a little bit light-hearted. Let's go a bit old school. Let's kind of Costanza it, but also let's pay a little bit of a tribute and homage to one of my heroes, and certainly somebody who was a little bit of an influence over my presenting style. So welcome everybody. There's the thumbnail for one last little glimpse. Quite proud of that one. Knowing T, knowing you. So if I can get rid of that, which I can. Hello everybody, glad to see you. Bonjour to our French speaking ATN 2112 Devil Speak. Welcome my friend, glad to see you buddy. So what, we are up to 10 folks on YouTube, and we've got, looking at the Thrift Fan Fireplace isn't on. That's how ill prepared I am. I will tell you a little bit more as we get in, but as you guys should know by now, this is Kelly Kibo in the house. Hello there, Kelly Kibo. Welcome to the thrift store. And that is not me being racist. Kelly Kibo really likes it when I do my Apu from The Simpsons voice. So to try and please as many as my few handful of viewers that I do have, I do try to give them a little bit of gratuity now and then. Hashtag Shah, that's for you, Nancy, our little Cajun agent down there. But as I was saying, you guys should be aware at the moment, or should be, hopefully, if you are paying attention, it is the 2-year anniversary of Tsp TV coming up at the end of this month, the 29th, in fact. Sorry, let me just do one last thing that I needed to do. Hold on, bear with me. Just need to cast your comments to the screen, and then I know, although I do have your comments here on the computer, but I like to get Facebook on the computer and I like to get YouTube on the TV screen, even though nobody ever does watch or comment or really do much on the Facebook. And even if they do start on Facebook, usually they pop over into YouTube, where it all began, and why we are celebrating this little bit of a milestone, I guess you could call it, 2 years of Tsp TV. And around this time last year, it was a question and a doubt that we'd even reached the 1-year anniversary, which we kind of did because we were on some community strike status at the point. Is it that bad already, ETN, that you need a drink? We're only a couple of minutes into the stream, 8 minutes in fact. Drink away, do what you need to do, get a smoke on, do a line, shoot yourself up if that's what you need to do to get through this second night in the 2 weeks of T series that I do plan to bring you, that will climax on the 29th of November, the second birthday of Tsp TV. So hopefully I've got some time between now and then to figure out what we are going to do on that night in question, if we will have some kind of celebration, maybe even a T-a-thon, which is a little bit like a telethon, but with T, because I'm T, as in TSP, the thrift store prepper. A T-a-thon, maybe try and go out with a 10-hour finale or something. I did once toy with the idea of doing a 12-hour stream, if or not batteries and chargers and things like that would be needed. It would be quite an effort, I think, but it is something I sort of like to kind of cross off my YouTube bucket list at some point, or not. If or not we do that as part of our celebrationary 2 weeks of T, who knows. But by the end of 2 weeks, we will be sick and tired of each other by then, and maybe I might even be running out of content to bring you each and every night. But a little bit of thank you. Let's not get too carried away. It is a couple of weeks away, devil speak, but as I said, I'm trying to sort of milk it a little bit, as well as kind of put in some sort of purpose to my daily routine, which is something that is sort of gone completely to shit, certainly since the demise of summer and the descendant of fall. And today we really did have a little taste of winter, where it did drop below 0 degrees here in Toronto, something I haven't felt for quite a few months. And once you feel it, it's no going back, but it's not going to be too bad for the next few days. But a little reminder that winter is there, and it is sort of a time that I do tend to sort of go into a little bit of hibernation mode, but in recent weeks, and since pretty much the start of this pandemic, I've been put out of work, been unemployed, lost a day job, and sort of did make some kind of efforts, and sort of not necessarily plans or intentions to make this my full-time job, but did sort of think to myself, you know what, I've got nothing to do with myself these days, let's kind of treat this as my job. Because, you know, some of you are aware I do have a tip jar that some of you do generously and regularly donate to, which does help me immensely in this time that I'm not earning anything, and that is literally one of my only forms of income without having to pimp myself out. And trust me, and no one's paying more than $1 for this piece of white boy 50-year-old arthritic ass. But anyway, guys, as I said, it's been a little bit of a time that I thought to myself, you know what, I enjoyed doing YouTube, whereas before this was just a little hobby, something I didn't pay much time and attention to, sort of just press play and go. I have sort of paid a little bit more time and attention to how I present these videos and live streams, and part of a little bit about the next 2 weeks is again to try and get me back into some routine, stop me falling into the trap of just wanting to stay in bed and binge watch stuff, and then getting upset that I spent 6 hours trying to find something to watch and not actually watching anything. But yesterday we got up, got the ball rolling, night 1, this is night 2, and sometimes the second step is almost as hard as the first one to take on a journey. Now, it is many ideas and stuff that I've got sort of lined up that I did have intention of making videos of, and a little bit about this I will sort of go into further details about sort of how maybe this is my behavioral patterns are being effective, is maybe a result of some of the stuff we are talking about, or have been talking about. Talk About Nobody on Facebook. There's Sherry, boo to you, although Halloween was a couple of weeks ago, but let's just pretend it still is the season of the witch. We've got a blue moon or another full moon coming up, lots of weird things going on in the solar celestial calendar, but as I was saying, guys, that FEMA has job openings, I hear. Yeah, I don't know if I'd be have quite the criteria that a government or agency would require, devil speak, but that would be good to get inside and do some insider scoop whistleblowing, investigative reporting, which is something I do have a little bit of an interest in. It's something I've sort of tried to do a little bit, incorporate in this channel, is part of the sort of variety of content I do try to bring you. But as I was saying, you know, over the course of the pandemic, I've sort of paid a little bit more attention to YouTube and been trying to sort of maybe make it a little bit more presentable and make shit video productions a little less shit. But as my dad always told me, God rest his soul, sorry I lost my microphone, can you hear me okay, everyone? Does it sound good? But as I was saying, my old dad said, you cannot polish a turd, son. And he always used to say that when I was getting myself dolled up, ready to go out on a Saturday night, when I used to have hair and get myself in my best clothes. But I have tried to polish the turd a little bit and try and get it a little bit presentable, and also try to sort of gauge what works and what doesn't. Now, it's sort of coming a little bit apparent to me that perhaps the live streams are the way to go as opposed to uploads, and sort of something I found myself surprisingly enjoying is editing videos, which was a surprise to me. It's something when I first started my channel I found very irritating and annoying. I tried to make a little intro for my first video and it ended up sort of taking 3 hours and it was still shit, and I'm like, fuck me, we can do without that. But I found a little bit of an interest and enjoyment in editing, and I sort of do enjoy editing videos to upload. However, some of these videos that I do upload, they don't seem to get the same amount of views as the live show. And something we were talking about yesterday is how algorithms and stuff and shadow banning is targeted to sort of make it work like the user, to make them sort of deter them from continuing to make stuff that maybe they don't want to talk about, as well as making it unseeable for those of you, many of you here. Yesterday, I know Killer Kyle and Heidi over at Disabled and Prepping, she both left a message that they didn't get a notification about yesterday. They had to make do with the replaying. I know you were Devil Speak. So we are going to try and have a little bit of fun and sort of lightheartedness today, away from the seriousness. But as I was saying, it seems to me that more people that watch Tsp TV enjoy the live shows more, and I guess the community side of things is a little bit more than the channel side of things. That you guys seem to enjoy more the interaction, hanging out with one another, and sort of this back and forth that we do have a little bit. So trying to incorporate maybe making videos and episodes and little presentations that I can fit into the live show, though we can sort of watch and then have a little bit of show and tell, is something I'm thinking might be the sort of perfect match. I get to sort of do a little bit of stuff that I'm enjoying. We get to do our little bit. What's up, Alan Habs? Good to see you. We get to do our little social interactions, chat, hang out like we are, and then get a little bit of information. And again, sort of putting these presentations together does sort of keep my mind on track, because it does seem to be wandering a little bit as of late, and it is very hard to get focused or really sort of get the motivation to get into anything recently. And that's what I'm trying to do as well in these sort of 2 weeks of tea, is bring a little bit of everything that Tsp TV has been all about, in bringing you a little bit of a mixture and variety of all the things that I have incorporated into this channel over a 2-year period. But as for tonight, we don't got a presentation to watch, which I will explain why in a few seconds. But yesterday we had one that was a little bit longer than probably I did anticipate, and if or not, that was something that maybe lost some attention over the God, why can't I say that word? As it dragged on, I guess, let's put it in simple terms. Maybe sort of it lost a little bit of interest, but I am trying to sort of get a perfect recipe, I guess, and sort of the perfect end product that can be enjoyable by everyone. Because sort of, as I said, I put a lot of, not necessarily ages and days and months and weeks of effort into putting these videos and stuff together, but they do take a little bit of time and effort in terms of editing and doing a little bit of research and capturing footage and stuff for it, and then you sort of upload it. And it's not because I want necessarily these videos to be viral, but I'd like them to sort of maybe have an impact on the few people that do watch them. And sometimes I notice that I don't really get many comments on the videos that I do upload, unless it's to advertise sexy teens online. That is a reoccurring comment that I do get. But I do notice that when we do the live shows, people are very chatty and interactive and have things to say. So that's what we're trying to generate, a little bit dialogue, a little bit of communication and information sharing. Sort of what I do hope in uploading some of the videos that I do upload is that there will be a little bit of feedback and information that will maybe learn to something, so I can learn something more, or we can help to piece the puzzle together. So if or not, the videos that I do put up just have absolutely no meaning, they're unimportant, nothing in them resonates with anybody, and there's nothing there that conjured up any thoughts or any comparisons or stark realities to what we're seeing in real life or not, I don't know, because there's no impact or comment. But when we do it like this, then obviously I can kind of see what you're saying in sort of real time, and we can react in real time. And sometimes I guess stuff is lost a little bit in translation when you sort of watch a video and leave a comment, and then later somebody has to reply on the comment, if you know what I mean. I never get so Alan Habs says, I never get notified if you make videos, only when you go live. Now, I've just had a little bit of a heart palpitation hit me at the moment, and something I have been talking about recently is the electromagnetic frequencies and the effects and impacts it has on individuals, and if or not the effects that I've been feeling and having in the last weeks, particularly with palpitations in chest pains as of recently. I'm thinking to myself, is this my electronic killer coming after me? Is this how it's doing it? Am I going to sort of go to bed one day and my phones are going to buzz me enough with electromagnetic frequencies that the heart is going to stop? And if you think that is outlandish, heart attack machines and devices do work. Governmental agencies have used them to take out dissidents and spies. Devil Speak, you got lucky. Did you get yourself a little bit of punani, if people still know that, or did you win some lottery, or did you find a big bag of money and drugs on the side of the road that a gangster tossed out in a drive-by? So as I said, things like notifications and that are out of my control. That is all down to YouTube and maybe some of the stuff that we were talking about yesterday in regards to how algorithms will kind of push stuff that is unimportant and hide stuff that is. Sorry, I've got a little bit high there. Let me scoop down a little bit there. But I have been feeling a little bit of these strange symptoms in recent week, and in particular it sort of seems to start around the time that I started speaking about electromagnetic frequencies on my channel and trying to draw a little bit of attention to this. Could well be a possibility of how they are transmitting the COVID disease, because the symptoms of electromagnetic frequency sensitivity and COVID-19 are almost identical if you look at them side by side. So, you know, do you need a deadly pathogen when you can simulate it electronically with the device that the majority of people carry around with them at any given time 24/7? So back to today, I did get up this morning quite early, bright and early in fact, and despite the fact that I just wanted to sort of stay in bed, I got up, took a shower, got my coffee on, started going through some of my tabs in content that I had lined up for stuff that I wanted to bring and put up on the channel, and then it started. All of a sudden I started feeling sweaty, the chest pains come, and then I started to feel like all I wanted to do was go back to bed. Now, for an hour or so, I didn't pick up my phone. It's something that kind of Becky P said yesterday during the live stream. I wonder how long, you know, the members of the Thrift Fam could go without picking their phone up. So other than pick it up to look at what time it was, I put it down. I didn't open it up, didn't start scrolling and stay in bed and waste an hour crossing my legs because I didn't want to get up and piss because I was maybe looking for something. I didn't look at it at all. I got up, did a little bit of tidying up, some cleaning, got myself dressed, as I said, took a shower, made some coffee, had a smoke, and my mind was active, and I was almost like, okay, I know exactly what I'm going to do. I've got a couple of things that I want to line up. Let's pick out those articles, let's start recording, putting the presentation together for this evening. And this was sort of maybe 10:30, 11 o'clock in the morning, sort of a time of day I haven't seen in a long time, certainly in recent weeks anyway. Since probably August left. But all of a sudden, the minute I kind of turned on my phone, and I kind of turned them both on because I've got two tabs on, well, mind over matter is all well and good, but when your mind is being controlled by electronic device, doesn't matter how much you matter, it's still got to work when you're working against something more powerful than us. But being aware of these technologies and these devices being against us can possibly help us combat them. And again, you know, sort of mind over matter, awareness and what have you does give you the ability to combat things unless you're aware of. But as I said, guys, I kind of come down stairs into my little studio area where I got my stuff set up, and literally when I started picking up my phones and started looking on some of the tabs and opening up the articles in particular that I was thinking about recording and putting the presentation, it sort of hit me like a wave. All of a sudden I felt a little bit like I wanted to puke, and I got sort of hot and sort of, you know, that sort of feeling you get before you're going to go and chunder. And then all of a sudden just felt very, very tired. Now, because it was kind of early in the day, I thought, you know what, let's just have a little lie down. You know, I'm not normally up at this time of the morning anyway. I didn't get to bed till quite late anyway. Didn't have that much sleep, although I was feeling rested. And a couple of hours went by and same thing happened. I got up, had a smoke, even reduced. I didn't even, I've only drunk 2 cups of coffee today because, I've noticed a little bit of the ticker, maybe too much caffeine, and something as well I'm drinking a lot more of since I've not been in work is coffee. Usually I have, my sort of pot in the morning just to get me up and running into the routine and off to work I used to do, but now I sort of sit there and can spend maybe 3 or 4 pots worth of coffee before I activate myself. So I'm trying to do a little bit of combating or try and counteract some of these effects if I can, if not these effects are being caused electronically. So how did you get lucky exactly? I'm still waiting. You're getting old. I remember when I was your age. Well, yeah, I am nearly 50. In the last couple of weeks, months, I feel as though I have aged a little bit more. But I do try to I usually always hold my hand with my phone with my left, believe it or not. I don't know why. I only do sort of type with my right, but partly because of how I do this. But left side, right side, I don't know. These are cognitive stuff. But what I did find that the more I tried to get into the groove, use my devices to make presentations, the less I wanted to do it. And it got to the point where I'm like, shit, I've only got an hour before I'm supposed to be going live, because I did say, put on Facebook that we would be going at 9 Central, not 9 Central, 9 Eastern, which I think is 8 Central, and 6, I would believe, Pacific time. But I did say that I was going to be 9 p.m, but there was a part of the time today where I was like, shit, I just wish I didn't have to do it. Why did I say I was going to do 2 weeks? Why shall I just cancel it now? Will I let people down? But we are going to try and go on every night at 9 p.m. If you don't get notifications, know that we're going to be going live at 9 p.m. Set your alarm. Set your alarms, set reminders, whatever you need to do. If or not you want to tune in for this this series of live streams for the next 12 days after today. So we've still got 12 left, but I figured it got to the point where I'm like, you know what? Fuck it, I haven't really got time to put together a presentation. Let's wing it. Let's go with knowing T, knowing you. And what I figured I might do is kind of talk a little bit about things in my past that have kind of interested me and led me to sort of be who I am today, and some of the things that sort of directed me to some of the conspiracies or some of the mysteries that I like to try and unravel. If or not I ever will unravel them, who knows? But these are some of the things that I have tried to incorporate in this channel, and sort of in this period that I've been out of work since the start of COVID, is to try and incorporate a little bit more of myself into the channel. That's kind of why, you kind of see the Watchman symbology in my logos and intros and stuff like that, because that is something that is have been a huge influence to me over my life. As well as, a lot of the sort of comic book and geek stuff is giving me sort of ended up inadvertently providing me with research for what is become predictive programming and fiction decoded like content and stuff like that. And for a lot of times we have kind of shot from the hip on this channel. We've made it up as we go along, a little bit like another hero of mine, George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it, and that's an episode. It's a show about nothing. We've done many episodes about nothing. But back as a kid, I was an only child. I didn't really have friends, that many friends, other than sort of a couple of boys that lived next door to me until they moved. So for the most of the time I was sort of a bit of a loner, and I was always within a book or a comic or watching something on TV, cartoons or sci-fi movies growing up in the 80s. But for most of the time, I find that some of the shows that we don't plan and some of the shows that we just dive into and make up as we go do turn out to be some of the most fun that we do have, and as I said, some of the influences and stuff like that in things that I have been trying to do over the past sort of few months is sort of make this channel a bit more me, as opposed to just a sort of generic YouTube channel with sort of some default stuff that I grabbed off the internet just to sort of make it look half presentable. I dare you to hit the thumbs up. Can I get an amen? 99% of you aren't brave enough to hit the thumbs up, Cali Ninja. Share it if you agree. But we have been on a little bit of a sort of mind control, social media, hive mind kind of train as of late, which may be getting a little bit repetitive in its nature for you. So I thought we'd give it a little bit of a break from that today. Hello there, Vincent. Welcome. So we did have 13 folks watching at one point. We're down to 9 at the minute. So welcome, Vincent. If you are a newbie or a long-time viewer, silent first-time caller type deal, you know how that goes sometimes. But as I said, today, the more I tried to sort of get in focused to... it's okay, I think we knew what you meant, unless that was an acronym. I was trying to work it out. What does WMSN, will meet someday near? I don't know, you know, like LOLs and PSMLs and all that kind of stuff. Down to 8 folks now, so maybe or not, we should wrap this up in a few minutes and call it a day. It might not be as long as it was yesterday. As I said, we are kind of making it a little bit up as we go along. So before I do go any further, and go off, and before I forget and go off on some sort of tangents that I don't really know where I'm going with, we've got to give a little bit of, I'm not saying a moment's silence or anything like that, but Judy Bell, she's got a little bit of a family crisis, a little bit of bad news for her and her family. So I just want to sort of take a moment, I guess, for us all to kind of send some blessings, warm wishes. Those of you of a religious nature, pray for the best for Judy Bell, because, you know, when one of us is hurting, we're all hurting, and a lot of us have sort of been taking a knock or two over the last few months under the COVID time, as in some of us are just sort of stumbling through life now, but as I said, Judy Bell, as I know, has got a little bit of bad news down there. She can't make it tonight, so I wanted, sort of from my heart and the heart of the fam, let's try and give her a little bit of collective support and comfort and send it her way, although sometimes prayers and thoughts don't really help much when you are the one that is actually affected. As though it's nice to know that people are thinking of you when you're in it. It's very hard to see anything than what you are in. So there you go, Judy Bell, my darling. Our love and thoughts are with you, and hope for the best in that outcome. So anyway, guys, where are we? Tuesday night, knowing T, knowing you. That was the best I can do for tonight's content, because as I said, before I knew it, the day got away with me. I'm like, Jesus, I said I was going to go on at 9 p.m. I haven't got anything prepared. What can we do? Is it too late in the day? Shall I abandon it? The show must go on, as Freddie Mercury said. So here we are, winging it on a prayer for this Tuesday night. But as I said, it's got a little bit of an old school feel. This is what we used to do once upon a time, all the time, with the live shows on a Tuesday, and that was the night that it sort of kind of started, because that was my day off at the time. And you know, I kind of remember that first dizzy night that we did a live feed. Was anybody here that was in the chat at the moment watched that very first live show that I did after I kind of gained all those subscribers as a result of being on the Marfugal call-in? It took us a week or two, I think, to get to the 1,000 subscribers, but we had nearly 40 people watching, so 9 now. So you see how popular I've become as a result of gaining all those subscribers over the year and a half since that happened. But can anybody cast their mind back, if anybody was here that can remember that? It was a very weird and wacky experience. It was sort of going very, very, very well up until a point where I kind of cast a joke about, because I didn't know any of the people that were watching me. They didn't know me, as I didn't have subscribers a week before, and all of a sudden I got 40 people looking at me on a live feed, which I've never ever done there. Becky Pamplin was there. Bless you, Becky Pamplin. So The Blunder twins. Now, I'm not here to necessarily gossip, talk ill, or badmouth anyone. The Blunder twins, Danielle and Michelle Canham, bless them. God bless their souls wherever they are and whatever they are doing these days. But they become the first two wenches. But kind of between them, they kind of, I'm not saying hijacked it, but they kind of somehow blew up the chat and sort of made it a little bit about them. I was very nervous and very overwhelmed, and then in the midst of it all, I tried to crack a joke, which is something I try to do when I'm in sort of tense and nervous situations, is laugh your way out of it if you can. If you can't laugh your way out of it, the other way out is to just bite somebody's cheek off. But anyway, we were back in those days. It was just the prepper hands, and sort of people were saying, oh, the hands are freaky, I like the hands. And I was like, oh my God, I'm way out of my depth. But I cracked a joke about, well, at least I know who the stalker's going to be. At what point, almost maybe because they had been monarched and Manchurian programmed, one of the Blunder twins twisted and snapped, and all of a sudden, how dare you call me a stalker? I'm not a stalker. You need to apologize to me. You're making me cry. And pretty much within the kerfuffle that followed in this, it really abruptly ended all of the sort of procedures, and like made me think to myself, holy shit, I don't want subscribers, I don't want viewers, I don't even want to go live again. What the hell am I doing? This isn't a good experience at all. But sort of in the aftermath of that, I got off the live stream, went to the TSP Facebook, and blown up. Posts here, posts there, comments here. You insulted me. People are demanding answers. I was freaking out. I'm like, holy shit. What the hell have I let myself in for? And again, this happened. This isn't me making it up. It's there. Unfortunately, I don't think that live feed is on anymore. I did have to take a lot of content down, as you know. But in the aftermath of that, somehow in a little bit of damage control, I sort of reeled this person that seemed to be out to damage me sort of under my wing, and like figured to myself, method in my madness was, people are less likely to destroy something that they are part of. So I figured, maybe these cantankerous individuals might work well on your side. And to a degree, they kind of did, but they kind of got a little bit overwhelming. And kind of distracting, and I did actually start getting a lot of sort of emails and stuff that people stopped watching because of them, believe it or believe it not. And it's something I didn't address or even mention to them, sort of, well, they're part of the fixture. If people don't like it, they don't. But it did become a little bit of a trend, and in particular, Canham, God, she was Kathy Bates. That's the only way I can describe her. I actually was very, very afraid of this person. And sometimes when I used to go out to the Dollarama, as I used to do regularly then, I used to like, fuck me, is that her? Because she used to be from Toronto and kind of knew a little bit of the neck of the woods. But she did turn out to be the first individual that I think thought I was her boyfriend. And I remember once having a chat with her, because again, sort of in those early days, I tried to sort of be a little bit sort of polite and answered everybody's comments, and sort of noticed over a sort of few days this was becoming, a habit. And I'm like, listen, I do talk to other people. I do got a job. I got other stuff going on. I can't really be here in sort of talking to you all day, every day, as much as I'd like to, blah, 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 yada, yada, whoop-de-woo. And sort of I got the response, you talk to other viewers. And I'm like, yes, I do talk to some of my other viewers. It happens quite a few, surprisingly enough. I don't know why. And it was the jealous girlfriend. Oh, I didn't know you talked. Well, I'm sorry if I bothered you. I don't want to. And my goodness, it was like, dang. Where did that come from? I just thought you were somebody that liked watching the channel. But something that was very funny, Kali Ninja can remember that as well. Don't know if Baby P can remember the Blunder twins incident, but as I said, I'm not going to go on and drag them there. But I will add one more thing about Canham, that she was kind of like that obsessive girlfriend that just liked everything you said, just because she wanted you to like her. If she liked everything you said, you would like her. And in regards, I was talking about Alan Partridge once in one of those early live streams, about how he was one of my sort of favorite comedians, and how he sort of his presenters, because Alan Partridge is a radio and TV presenter, and sort of how some of his styles I have stolen and adapted a little bit and incorporated in the way I kind of do this, which is why tonight is called Knowing T, Knowing You. But I was talking about Alan Partridge, and in the comments, Michelle Canahan pops, oh, I love Alan Partridge. I used to love watching that. Oh, it's great. Alan Partridge is hilarious. Oh, I love him. And I turned around and said, really? What? Because I was kind of interested, like, oh wow, if you like Alan Partridge, then maybe we can incorporate some more Alan Partridge banter. And I sort of happened to ask what her favorite episode was. I'm like, hey, what is your favorite episode? And she said, oh, I don't really remember now, it was a long time ago. And I'm like, how can you love something that you don't remember? It's like, if you love the Beatles, what's your favorite Beatles song? I don't really know any Beatles songs at the minute. It's so long ago that I listened to them, but it kind of sort of started to get into my mind, the people that are watching me all can hams, or are they actually sort of interested in paying attention, or, you know, in the stuff that I'm bringing them. But it was a little bit of a weird and wonderful baptism of fire, I guess, to the live stream. Although it wasn't the first time I'd ever streamed live. I had sort of streamed a couple of times just playing around in the early days of this channel's beginnings with the sort of stuff that you could do on YouTube. But at that point, when you've got 6 subscribers and no one gets notified if you go live, literally nobody watched them. Although I did have Baby G, bless her. We don't see her so much now, but she is a younger friend of mine that was sort of around at the beginning. But she once watched a live feed and was the only viewer, just sort of me and her. But we've come a little bit of a long way since then, although we don't get the 30 or so viewers for the live streams that we sort of did do in those earlier days. But as I said, I think sometimes people get a little flash in the pan. You only have sort of your 15 minutes. But the guys that have stuck around, which are you guys that are watching tonight, you have become part of the foundation and part of the reason that I keep doing what I'm doing. And over this sort of last few months, we've seen a few newbies that have become part of the fam, like Devil Speak, like Alan Habs, who was here earlier, and Warfist, wherever Warfist is, Angela, Fatty McBunch. Why can't I ever say Fatty McBunch? I still can't say it, but you know who I'm talking about. But we have sort of, gained a few people, and quality sometimes is better than quantity. Yeah, well, I'm going to try and get Baby G back. She's a 20-something girl, and I think she's got herself a little boyfriend perhaps now, and a little bit busy with that kind of stuff. But I'm going to see if I can get a few of the old faces back from the past. So we might get Baby G there, because she was a very strong supporter of me before I had any subscribers, and was the only one that would watch my videos and would always give it a thumbs up, bless her. I went there or don't remember afterwards. Where did you go, Nancy? Yeah, they did provide some interesting... Alma was a couple of weeks ago. She joined us, Kelly. I actually did get a nice email from her a little while ago that she kind of explained that, like many people at the moment, she's got some personal stuff going on in things that she is dealing with, and as much as she wants to be here, life sort of gets in the way. And I do understand that. I don't expect people to drop everything and give up their lives to tune in to these ship video productions. But yeah, I miss Al Mel and Hoopdies, because they were always kind of like those bright students that always would put their hand up and want to ask questions. Not that I play favoritism, but they were always somebody that when they were in the chat that sort of would feed and fuel me a little bit. Hey Martha, glad to see you, Sweet Pea, our little Texas Rose there. But she was here a little while ago, Kelly. But as I said, people do have very, very busy lives, and some people, it seems, have been suffering greatly during the COVIDian era. If not by the virus, it doesn't seem to have got anybody infected that we know of. Although, talking of that, Martha's husband was diagnosed a little bit of a couple of weeks ago, but I think he's okay now. He has the flu by all accounts, and we also do know from a very good insider within the medical industry that does work on in a hospital, that the numbers are rising and there are people on ventilators, where at the dawn of this, when they were telling us that it was all bad in the beginning of the pandemic, there was no sort of apparent evidence of it. So worrying indeed to see that there are actually sort of people turning up at hospitals at the moment, and if or not that there is a deadly strain that has been released during wave 2 or not, who knows? Maybe that's why I'm feeling these weird things. I've been caught by the virus, who knows? But well, that's good. And what's more reassuring from that news, Martha, is the fact that, and by no means am I saying this in an insulting way, but you're a little bit older in years, as is your husband, and that is sort of seeming to be the majority of people that do fall victim to this virus are sort of elderly people. My father as well, he was in his 70s, and he passed away, and I have some reason to believe that there might be some suspicion in that, but as I said, that's a little bit of a wormhole and rabbit hole I don't really want to go down, but he is in the age group. He was a cancer patient. He was getting treated. He did go to hospital, was released, all clear, nothing wrong with you. In 24 hours, died of a heart attack when he'd never ever had any heart conditions in his life whatsoever. Vincent says, I'm sorry, I'm an old guy, 60-year-old, and TV today was most harsh. Be careful with the numbers, it's frequencies. Well, I'm 50, Vincent, although, 50, 60, when you get to a certain age, you stop counting. So we are sort of, a lot of us are in a similar, the Gen Xers and a few boomers. But I don't really watch TV anymore. I don't have cable or anything like that, although I do stream a few TV shows, in particular now it's colder and stuff like that. But the electromagnetic frequencies is something that I have been talking about quite a lot recently, and Martha's saying that he has COPD, asthma, and a pacemaker, so that's even more remarkable and very good news for anybody else, like, if somebody that has those conditions, which are supposed to be things that will aggravate the virus more, if or not it is real, then that is something to relish, I guess. Sorry, I lost my train of thought now. We're up to 13 folks. Where did they all come from? I don't know, but welcome, whoever you are there. Now, things like, I was watching, Nancy actually mentioned this last week, I think, Under the Dome. Sorry, I just meant I'm not too well and not TV. The days have been harsh. Well, I'm sorry to hear you're not doing well, Vincent, and hopefully whatever is making you feel not so well will cease in the not so distant future, and you'll start feeling a little bit better. But a lot of people, I think, as a result have been of lately in contemporary times, are taking a little bit of a psychological beat in the fact that we are at psychological warfare, and we are the targets of that psychological warfare. It only goes to think that we would be some way affected by that, and if or not, we are being targeted individually, and somehow frequencies and electromagnetic wavelengths are being submitted into our head and making us control and act against our will, or not, is something that we may not ever really truly unravel. But there is, to me at least, a lot of evidence to support and suggest that is kind of what is going on at the minute. And again, I'm sort of taking some of this theory from my own sort of personal symptoms in behavioral patterns that I've found myself recently, in the fact that we are in a period of time where social media in internet interactions are a lot more higher than pre-COVID times when people had jobs in schools and routines that weren't affected by this. Viruses cannot live on brass or copper. No, I remember like my grandmother and my dad, bless him, he used to always wear a copper bracelet. But I used to wear one as well, but I don't know if I'm allergic or not, but I always used to get very kind of green skin underneath. Brass fixtures, yeah, maybe if they had like brass beds or something, or brass, so I don't know, wire, like kind of grounding insulation thing type stuff like that. But as I was saying about tonight, we were going to maybe talk about a little bit of some of the stuff, I guess, sort of from my past and sort of how I really kind of got into mysteries and conspiracies, and sort of what that level entry would have been. Would probably have started with the movie E.T. Yeah, doorknobs, brass doorknobs and stuff, and door knockers. They used to be quite common once upon a time. Sorry, I got sidetracked there. Brass knobs and knockers. I think all houses used to have brass doorknobs, and I think that was part of the reason it was kind of the hand sanitizer or a natural thing. But yeah, maybe you can get a brass case. Phone case. I don't know if that would help or not. But as I was saying, it was possibly the movie E.T. That really got me into mysteries, and in particular it got me into mysteries of aliens and UFOs. And not long after E.T. I managed to watch Close Encounters of the Third Kind on VHS in Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, Star Wars. These were the things that sort of made me want to go into outer space, but in particularly it was E.T. And as a 10-year-old, I didn't really even notice the governmental agency that were chasing the kids, and why exactly they were chasing the kids, and why they put a big envelope over the house and were wearing spacesuits and stuff. That kind of didn't really register as a 10-year-old. It was more the adventure, the BMX bicycles, the toys, in the fact that I wanted an alien that would fly, make my bike fly and have a glow-in-the-dark theme, you know, and stuff like that. But it was sort of as I sort of got a little bit older through the 80s that sort of I become a little bit more aware of sort of UFOs, and watched a lot more sort of UFO movies, Alien, all this kind of stuff. It got me a little bit fascinated into extraterrestrials and aliens and such forth, and it kind of led me to go into the library and getting books about UFOs, and eventually lead into governmental cover-ups of UFO sightings and stuff like that. And in particular, like E.T. was awesome. It was one of the greatest movies ever made, and even to this day it will make me cry at the end. I'll be right here. Don't go. Oh, horrible scene. I mean, it's not horrible, it's beautiful, but it just will reduce me to a 10-year-old boy each and every time. But again, with Close Encounters was a little bit more deeper and intricate and intriguing in the way that it kind of was more about sort of how the government went about covering it up from the public, and how they were tracing and been communicating, and how they had sort of agencies and divisions and all these kind of things on hand to investigate extraterrestrial interactions, and in particular what really fascinated me in Close Encounters of the Third Kind is once they kind of decoded the message that they were getting from space and realized that it was logistics and it was map. Great point, remind me of that. Devil Speak. We'll get to that in a minute, but it was back to Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It was how the government staged, I think it was a nuclear leak or something, a gas or a toxic leak. There was something, a chemical factory, and they said, oh, there's been a leak, you're going to have to evacuate the area, and they put everybody on trains. But they sprayed, can you remember any there when they come in and sprayed over the area that they wanted to evacuate, so that nobody would be around to see the ship coming in. And I think they also took the power out so nobody could see what was going on as well. But they staged an event, they did a big cover-up, and that was like, whoa, fuck, wow. It really did kind of wow, could they do that? And that's what led me into looking into governmental conspiracies. Now, what Devil Speak put up there, great question. This is kind of what I was hoping for a little bit from tonight, knowing me, knowing you kind of guys give me a little bit and we can bounce off of each other. What if they are indeed humans from the future? And something another thing that I'm very fascinated on from the 1980s, part of my teenage years, Back to the Future, time travel, not just Back to the Future, H.G. Wells, The Time Machine, Terminator, time travel, it was all there. Very, very interesting. And I have been down a little bit of a 1984, 1985 movie wormhole in recent weeks, trying to connect the dots if time travel is actually speak. But yeah, are they from the future? Is the technology they have, are they coming back in time? And, to not disrupt things, if they come in at an aerial level rather than on the land like in the DeLorean, right, then they wouldn't have to sort of worry about obstacles that they would hit on re-entry, right? But the Nazi bell, yeah, oh my God. Now, there is a theory, and it was popularized into a piece of fiction called Iron Sky, which I have mentioned once or twice. Iron Sky is fucking fascinating because it has a Nazi moon base, and the Nazis during the war actually had spacecraft and flying saucers, and they were developing this technology that then become part of the United States government technology in Operation Paperclip. But there's this theory that during the 1940s that the war machine, I can't remember how you say it in German, but they had something that they were building was called the war machine, and it was supposed to be the largest and biggest, most devastating war machine ever created. But it was believed to be on the moon, and they believed to have a base on the dark side of the moon. Bear in mind, we can't see the dark side of the moon due to the way it rotates. And again, that's another theory that we might even avoid or get into one day. But there's supposedly a base on the moon which took a bunch of Nazi scientists and high-ranking generals in part of the National Socialist elite, as well as 1,000 hand-picked perfect Aryan males and 1,000 perfect hand-picked Aryan females that then went up onto the moon and lived in this base, and they were going to breed the Fourth Reich. And they were going to then come back and infiltrate Earth. But the Nazis had this flying saucer technology in the 1940s, maybe even before. And something we need to understand, that the technology that is available to us that we think is high-tech and state-of-the-art and as advanced as it can be is probably 50, 60 years old in its concept, right? This stuff has been around for many, many years in secret organizations. The stealth bomber, for example, this was flying in an operation for 30 years before the US military declassified it and said, yeah, we actually do have this stealth flight bomber that some of you have seen and have reported it of UFOs. The levitational stuff, yeah, and again, sort of they were also working on helicopters and stuff as well during the war, which was something that wasn't, helicopters were a futuristic vehicle transportation at the time. So maybe what you're saying is, are they visitors from the future? Maybe they are humans, but with technology that is far more advanced than we know, but it seems futuristic to us because our futuristic technology is iPhones and smart stuff, if you get my picture. And this year, again, we've seen reports from NASA, from the Department of Defense, the Ministry of Defense in England, and the Pentagon. Many other global agencies have declassified and released many declassified UFO documents, and in particular the Pentagon released stuff. Could this ship that we see, this very triangular shape, could that be military? Could it be humans? And back to Project Bluebeam, if they were to stage an alien invasion, could they use human technology that we don't know about and claim that it was aliens? Yeah, they were, because that's what the RAF from England, the bombers, used to fly out, and they used to bomb not only airfields and military and munitions dumps. The British would actually target schools, and the reason being because if a German infantryman or German military member was out on the front lines who had a child killed, they would call them back off the front lines. So the British used to target schools and hospitals in particular, and then we kind of got confused. We thought it was a munitions dump, but they actually did. And Dresden, what happened in Dresden? They fucking firebombed the entire city. That was an atrocity that the Allies would rather you didn't know about. But the transmission in the elevator, and even sort of stuff like now that we have like drones. They can kind of move very similar in their movement to flying saucers. So if you have like a drone this big, and just as you can have a radio controlled car or a radio controlled plane that's very, very small. Remember those little micro helicopters you used to be able to get at the mall? Possibly you could make one that people could sit in and make it look like a saucer. But the whole aliens, humans from the future theory does make an awful lot of sense. And back to sort of the time travel stuff that I'm very interested in, something I did suggest a little bit of a while ago in regards to like Back to the Future. Oh my god, this could be a whole we're probably gonna have to do a whole night of time travel stuff through the next 2 weeks. Thumbs up if you want to see a time travel special episode. It'll certainly kill one of the nights off, that's for sure. But something I've suggested in terms of stuff like George Orwell 1984, and the first movie ever made in 1902 was First Men on the Moon, where they kind of depicted the dark side of the moon. They depicted people that were getting dressed in sort of space suits, atmosphere, cubicles, and they made this movie before aviation was even like, I don't think the Bright brothers had got their first aircraft off the ground, but somehow the first ever movie made depicted a moon landing that happened 69 or something years later, or 1903. I can't do the maths, but anyway, 60 or something years later it come to be. But the first movie ever made, produced, put out on a cinema screen was about a moon landing. But George Orwell depicted a 1984 that is very, very, very real. We live in an Orwellian society where betrays, retract, Big Brother's watching. Oh my God, talking of Big Brother, something I forgot to do at the start of this. Everyone, guys, we've got to give a very, very special warm welcome and a big hello to the Google moderator team. Google moderator team, hello, welcome. Give us a thumbs up, smash the like, be sure to subscribe, leave some comments if you are watching and if you're a real person or if you're an artificial intelligent algorithm. This, making sure that people in the chat keep their P's and Q's in check and don't say anything you don't agree with. But they have shown up in the last couple of live streams. They have blocked a couple of comments and removed some things that they didn't like. Thank you, Google moderator team. We do appreciate your efforts for humanity, keeping us safe by removing unwanted comments and language. But anyway, I digress. Sorry about that. So what were we talking about? Several times a month, all the electricity in Berlin was diverted to an underground facility that housed the Nazi Bell. The Nazi shit, this is stuff that we are going to have to look at. And the sort of Nazi Bell, and not only the fucking base on the moon, there's also belief that there's a secret Nazi base in the center of the earth, and the hollow earth theory is something Sorry, Google Mod. Yeah, the Google moderator team. They come in the last couple of days and I removed some comment. Vincent, don't apologise for anything, my friend. I'm just glad that you've been part of the proceedings tonight, and kind of glad that you found the thrift store, and would be particularly happy if you come back and hang out again at in the future. But thank you. I'm glad you find this stuff interesting. So what was I talking about before I remembered the Google stuff? The levitation, Devil Speak was fueling some of this very well. Thank you, Devil Speak. I'm appreciating the input here. What was I talking about before I talked about the Google moderator? It was something about censorship, wasn't it? Possibly. The Nazi belt. Yeah, I know we were talking about the Nazi belt and the hollow earth, and something else you mentioned and sent me some links to, Devil Speak, was the Chinese patents for a fake moon and a fake sun. And there's reason to believe that these Nazis have their own little power source at the center of the earth that is a little sun, and the earth's core is in fact a little kind of hollow oasis and its own energy source. That was right. Time travel. I'm back on track. So George Orwell, Aldous Huxley, I can never say his name right, Brave New World, Jules Verne, people like this. What if somebody from the future went back and said, listen, George, I know you write books and stuff, loved loved Animal Farm, that was a great one, but listen, here's a script, right? Just do your best. That's what we want you to write. That's the content. Write a book. Call it 1984. Just make sure. It doesn't make sense to you now. I know big screens on walls and stuff. You don't know what we're talking about, George. But trust me, write this book. Write it now. In years to come, people know exactly what you're talking about. Same with H.G. Wells. You know, he wrote War of the Worlds about a Martian invasion in the 1800s that had heat rays, had tripods, had flying saucers, had discs in ballistics, stuff that didn't exist for humanity. So, not, you know, when you look at H.G. Wells, how brilliant of a mind was he to not only kind of imagine the story and write such a wonderful piece of fiction, but create all the science and everything else that went with it. And Jules Verne, one of his books, and then again, these H.G. Wells, Jules Verne, these were people, I read the books religiously as a kid, loved that stuff. Journey to the Center of the Earth was one of my favorite books in particular. But who was giving these people this information in this literature for things that just did not exist at that time? So is that some kind of evidence for time travel? Now, if you remember in Back to the Future, for example, when Marty went back and he was at the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, he sung Johnny Be Good. And the backing dancer or the band or the backup band that he had there at the band happened to be the cousin of Chuck Berry, and it was Marvin Berry, if you can remember. He's like, hey Chuck, it's your cousin Marvin, listen to this sound. And Chuck Berry heard Marty McFly playing Johnny Be Good, and that's how Chuck Berry wrote Johnny Be Good, so to speak. And Peggy Sue Got Married. Don't know if you remember that movie. Sybil Shepherd was in it. Little bit similar to Back to the Future, just not as cool. She went back to the 1950s and her boyfriend was Nicolas Cage, who was a shit musician. He used to think he was a rock and roll star, but she gave him the lyrics to the Beatles songs. She said, hey, look, just write these songs and you'll be okay. So, you know, time travel. Could you go back in time, give somebody information that could provide for literature or entertainment? The Nazis used a dirty nuke on Russian soldiers. The idea was to load the bell onto a large plane and send the electricity through the air to receivers on smaller fighters. And I can't. The bell. It was a power source, right? I don't think it was something to create sort of mind control or electromagnetic weaponry. It was something that they were using to power the war machine, I believe. I don't know if it was. I'm gonna have to go back and look at some of this stuff, to be honest with you. But a lot of what the Nazis were doing in World War II, in particular what their scientists were doing, and how they were kind of testing and using human guinea pigs from the concentration camps and stuff like that, all became part of what was known as Operation Paperclip. And hopefully you guys know exactly what Operation Paperclip was all about. It was when, if you don't, it's when the Allied forces after the war decided, you know what, these Nazi scientists, they're probably a little bit too valuable to kill or send to jail. If they come and work for us and we had their technology, then I wonder what we could do with it. And thus was what was born. NASA was will come out of Paperclip. Devil speak, then maybe you and I, buddy, are going to have to do a little bit of collaborating on that, and maybe we can get you in as a guest presenter or guest caller, one or the other, and you can inform the fam and pass on your knowledge, because that's sort of how information spreads. Now, I'm not saying any of it, not necessarily saying all of this stuff is exactly real stuff. It's very interesting theories. It's stuff that I've sort of looked into and thought about myself, and sort of having like-minded individuals to share this stuff with is always kind of a little bit refreshing, if not rewarding in the long run, because as I said, I was a kid that was growing up, I was an only child, and some of this stuff that I was sort of interested in and kind of liked was sort of laughed on by probably the cooler kids at school that had larger groups of friends. And even sort of growing up into adulthood, conspiracies and outlandish theories like that, sorry, I've got hiccups coming, are things that I guess mainstream sort of mentalities don't take on board or find interest or will dismiss. So as I said, having a little bit of a small audience and having a little bit of a community of like-minded thinkers that find this stuff interesting, and as much as I find you guys find it interesting, I love it when people like, Devil Speak here, and when, Hoops and Almal and some of the other folks that sort of send me some information. It's great, because that's how it works, communicating and sharing of information, and sharing the information, we can gain a greater understanding of things. Vincent, Paperclip is why we are in this mess, church brother. It is. Our nation infiltrated on all levels. Prisoners were forced to work on Nazi aircraft, so they were pissing in the glue that held the wings on. Took about 2 weeks before the glue. That's brilliant. The prisoners used to piss on the glue. And Devil Speak, am I right in thinking you were military, right? We need to get William Mason back. He's also interesting. He brings some good stuff to the table with Project Bluebeam in particular. He's got some good stuff about that. So what are we up to now? How long have we been going for? Oh, 1 hour 11. So maybe tonight we will wrap it up at the 1 hour 30 mark. You do know I like to keep my sort of symmetry with times and stuff. I don't know why, OCDs and things. But as I said, as a kid, a lot of this sort of stuff I used to, not really military. Okay, I'm probably getting my wires crossed with somebody else there. But you've got some military knowledge, I'm guessing. So to speak, perhaps. But this is stuff, as I said, is sort of a little bit interesting stuff. I spent probably longer than I should looking at and researching. But what was the point in researching and looking into it if I wasn't going to kind of share it with anyone? So I guess having this YouTube channel and a platform and a few people that do tune in and a little bit of an audience, it's like, well, why not share it, throw it, see what sticks. And a little bit over the sort of 2 years, we've had some sort of trial and error, things that work, things that don't work, things that I said I was going to do that probably never ever ended up happening because they sort of seemed like a good idea at the time. A little bit like 2 weeks of tea seemed a fantastic time in theory, until again today it comes like, oh my goodness, I've got to think think about something to do tonight. And maybe that is my problem, and that is my obstacle that I put myself, I guess not necessarily a standard, but I put some pressure on myself in order to put something together, and then you don't that's when you get a little bit sidetracked. Or is this the right thing? Is that the right thing? Oh my god, just need to edit this, or I need to do that. You start tinkering. Whereas sometimes, as to coin the phrase, shooting from the hip, making it up as you go, sometimes the pressure's off. What happens, right? I will soon post in your comments a lot of info on many topics to hit you. Thank you, Vincent. I'll tell you what, buddy, I'm going to put my email address in the chat there if you do want to send me anything, and that's anyone, not just you. I do love to get stuff, and I do kind of like to try and incorporate you guys some way, one way or another, into the proceedings. And you're not just viewers, you're part of the entertainment. And I don't like to use the term followers or we do say subscribers, but we are a little community here. We are a tight bunch. We're not many in our numbers, and sometimes it is nicer to have a smaller, more manageable audience of probably more like-minded people, rather than a larger audience where you get one or two that are just out for attention. The Blunder twins, for example, who we mentioned earlier in the proceedings. But as I said, lots of people have come and go through the doors of the thrift store in the sort of year and a half, I guess, since I sort of had a subscriber base. And it is the ones that have become regular, that have become a little bit like a family. And we're a very dysfunctional, multi-faith family as it happens. But some of you guys I interact with on a daily basis. Some of you we interact when we get together, and hopefully the reason that you keep coming back is not just for me. It is because the people that are in the chat now that you get used to seeing each and every day. Little Nancy under there, she was on her own, or her son was locked up in jail, had to suffer some personal loss. She was on her own, lost in roaming down there in Louisiana, and she found the thrift store, and here she is. We couldn't get rid of her even if we wanted to. I'm pretty sure even if we took her out to the backyard and tried to put her down like old Yeller, somehow the gun would backfire and Nancy would just wander off into the field and chew a dandelion. That was affectionate, Nancy. I didn't mean that unkindly. So let's go back to what have you saying there. Yeah, I did try and do a couple of ASMR videos because people did say they got the ASMR effect from my voice. Interesting stuff to read there. I tried to email you a doobie. I may have smoked it, and that's good. Well, if you're trying to send it internationally, we could both get into trouble. That is a federal crime, sending drugs illegally. But if you are in Canada, then it is allowed. You can send weed to people if they are in Canada. And kind of going back to the peeps in chat, that's what I think, back to sort of what I was saying a little bit earlier at the beginning about trying to sort of present the best possible product for Tsp Tv. That, as I said, sometimes I make videos that only get 39 views and nobody comments at all, whereas sometimes we can have a live show about nothing that gets 20 or 30 people, not 30, but gets, close to 20 people in the chat, and they're chatting non-stop for the duration. So why not make the videos, put the videos into the live feed? You get a little bit of me, we get a little bit of the episode or the presentation or whatever it is I want to sort of send the message, and then maybe afterwards we can talk about it. And we're not going to do that each and every time, but that is kind of my aims in sort of going back a little bit to spring break, which turned into be a little bit of a disaster in many ways. In sort of spring break for me is a little bit of sort of coming out of winter. How can we improve in sort of change things, or what do we need to lose, what do we need to do different, and about going forward in not necessarily drastically new directions, but opening up more avenues and branches of interest. Vincent Watson, it's nice to know that you're a smoker, Vincent, and I think a lot of us in here do enjoy our 420. Can I get an amen if you're a toker? We don't want to hear from you if you're not a joker. I'm trying to rap now, rapping for fun. I'm TSP, I'm your number one. Don't take the mick or call me a clown anymore, lip, and you're going down. Freestyle. Sorry about that, guys. Take a trip and never leave the farm. Well, that is something I know Cali Ninja is talking about, and something I sort of have a little bit of aspirations to do, is maybe find a little bit of a warm tropical corner of the world and a tiny little bit of land, and sort of go and disappear and not have to deal with people really. And I don't like people, to be honest with you. I don't mean to say it sound like a jerk in that, but I'd sort of much rather sort of be on my own than in company. Although I do enjoy being in company, I enjoy your company. I am somebody that does enjoy to be, I just enjoy my own company and my own entertainment a little bit there. I got a few pounds, my goodness, a few pounds. I got about a quarter of a pound maybe, maybe not. But I do try to keep a certain amount of things that I need on hand. That is why I am a little bit of a prepper. And, you know, some of you know, just out there in the corner is a pretty decently stocked, very low budget pantry, which still has an amount of food left that will last me for some months to come. And something I really haven't had to do in the duration of this pandemic is really buy food, although I have, because it is nice to grab fresh food when you can. But the pantry has served me extremely well, and as I'm sort of a little bit uncertain to my future, is why I haven't really been prepping or adding to the pantry in recent weeks, as well as the fact that I haven't had a regular income, which was what I used to do. Every time I got my paycheck, I would go out and pick up 20-40 bucks worth of groceries, bring it back, unbag it, show you. So I do kind of miss that, guys. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, there's only so many times you can make a video about, hey, I'm back from the dollar store and guess what I got today? You guessed it, ramen. Here's some beans. Today I got some saltines instead of Ritz, but there you go. Join us next week where we'll be unbagging more beans, more ramen, and a surprise cracker. Can you decide what cracker it's going to be? Let me know in the comments below, and there might be a prize for the winner. Puff the Magic Dragon was a big black bong. Oh, yeah, that's right. Weren't you copyrighting that, Martha? Or something? That's something just caught my memory from back in a previous live feed. You mentioned that you rewrote a song, the bong song. But Devil Speak's gonna trim his bush and his bush weed. I watched last night above me, a third of a mile away, a massive disc-shaped ship come out from storm clouds. Incredibly nuts. That's my fourth UFO event. Something I've noticed very, very, very interestingly enough, and I haven't been able to catch it because I don't really got a camera to sort of catch it up, but the stars don't look the same anymore. I've been looking up at the sky because we had a few clear nights recently, and I'm like, those stars don't look familiar. And I'm not like an expert or anything on the constellation. I sort of know the Big Dipper, and that's about it. But I was like looking up and like, I don't think those stars were there before. Now I don't know if or not this is satellites that I'm seeing, or if or not they're really getting ready and seriously putting the pieces into place to carry out a staged holographic alien invasion, or maybe a devil speak invasion. Sorry, devil. Although that'd be funny. Imagine a whole bunch of devil speaks descending from outer space. Okay, you guys, here you go. Element 115. And no, Martha, you also saw a UFO. But yeah, the stars don't look the same as they did. I don't know if that's because we've got 5 planets in alignment or stuff like that. I don't really know what's going on, so I'm not really that much of an expert on that. But I do like looking at starry skies, particularly with a spliff lying out in the summer or warm weather. So we should have to okay, so something we should probably think about doing, something I did have an idea of, is maybe you guys can help me out with my productions and presentations for the series of episodes that we have, or live streams I have planned for the next 12 days. Maybe you can choose your own stream and I could give you maybe 2 or 3 choices. Okay, what do you want to hear about tomorrow? Do you want an alien agenda special event? Do you want to hear some more about MK Ultra and social media mind control, or should we talk about time travel? Let's make those the options for tomorrow. Let me know if some of those. So Devil's talking about element 115. I don't think I have heard of that, but it sounds familiar for some reason. I don't know if it's the 115 part. But shall I give you those choices again? What were they? I've forgotten. Should we do it 8? Well, actually, if we did an alien agenda, that would probably, we could double it up as a Project Bluebeam. Nancy's going for time travel, so that's 1 vote for time travel. Do I need a pen? Let me tally up the votes. Okay, so time travel, 1 vote. Alien agenda. And what was the other? MK Ultra. Unipentium. Am I saying that right? I don't think so. Can you mix time travels with aliens? I like how you're thinking, Alan Habs. I mean, I guess we could, but what I could do is lead the time travel and join us tomorrow for aliens, or hey, this is aliens, join us tomorrow for time travel. Alien agenda, I have some scope. Okay, so we've got 1 for alien. Alan Habs, I'm going to give you a vote for each. Although that doesn't really help for seed-ins. So we've got nothing on MK Ultra so far. To make it too interesting, I have to make it I'm sorry about that, Becky P. Can you have a slip and fall? You are sort of in that age where people might slip and fall and it be plausible, and sort of phone into work, sorry, I've had a slip and fall, not coming in tonight. Can you relate them or no? Yeah, I can probably wind it in some. I can work magic to a degree, Alan Habs. And we were sort of mentioning a little bit earlier in this evening's stream, that is, are aliens humans from the future? Is there any relation to? These are things we can discover and work out together, Alan Habs. So how are we doing? Time travel to Alien 2. It's an unstable isotope. That's the unanimum, or whatever it was called. I can't remember now. Whenever you can, whatever you do, fine. MK is heavy. I can get you info on time travel. I'm putting you down for time travel, Vincent. I've actually got quite a few stuff, a few things on MK Ultra, particularly in the last few weeks. In just a couple of weeks ago, I did put up a 4.5 hour episode on MK Ultra in Monarch programming, which several viewers, not just 1, not just 2, more than 2, have told me is the best thing I've ever done. Martha's going for time travel. All right, guys, time travel is looking like it will be the topic for tomorrow night. Time travel with T, that could almost be the title. If anybody wants to come up with a better title for tomorrow's stream, now is your chance. As I said, group activities. Baby P, I did promise you a Stranger Things special episode, and I will be doing that when you are off to enjoy it. So that is something I do have planned at some point over the next 2 weeks. So everybody, for real, Becky, I have actually watched some interesting, an interesting series, 11/22/63, the Stephen King book that was made into a TV show about the Kennedy assassination and a wormhole back in time. This is all wonderful content that we will be working for to tomorrow's show. So that's good. It's looking like unanimous on the time travel, which is good for me, because I can maybe bring some more Back to the Future references to it. And that was something that really disappointed me, because I did dress up like Marty McFly a little bit in one of my episodes. Not one person thought it was cute. That 4-hour video, it is a little bit heavy duty. In 4 hours is sometimes a lot of time to commit to maybe watching. Sometimes there's a lot of information to retain, but you can maybe break it up in like an audio book, because there are sort of chapters and sections in it. You can do it bit by bit. But yeah, Bill and Ted, of course, be excellent to each other. I'm looking forward to tomorrow now. Time travel is it is. An atom has neutrons and protons in the center and is sounded like a field in which electrons are found. And there is a lot of, again, 1.21 gigawatts. They needed plutonium in order to get back in time. But I have been looking into some time travel stuff, not just fictional stuff, but maybe the possibilities. And this is something I've been chatting to Annie Burdell about over at Prepper Chicks. She is going to try and be, I mean, she's committed, it's just a matter of getting it up and running, but she's going to be a guest presenter, guest caller at some point in the next couple of weeks. The most illustrious person to ever set foot in the thrift store, because she's a real person of interest. She writes books, she's got her own Prepper Chick brand, and smart, wonderful lady. I often dream sometimes of driving off in the sunset in an old Mercedes 500 convertible, a little bit like Heart to Heart. Do you remember that show? But time travel, that's something we're going to get into tomorrow. So the gravity, and this is again something that Doc mentioned, the gravitational pull. So Devils, yeah, we're definitely going to have to possibly talk a little bit more off screen about some of your theories, because you are providing a hell of a lot of fuel for further Philadelphia experiment. In reference to the Stranger Things, Stranger Things is very much based on a real story. The Montauk Project. Montauk is the East Coast Area 51. Lots of stuff. So Montauk, Tavistock, these are a couple of things I do have planned and lined up to bring you information of. But time travel already, we're getting a lot of information in a little bit of interest for tomorrow. So maybe that could all be a little bit of a group, not necessarily telling you've got homework to do, but maybe over the evening and in tomorrow you may sort of find something of interest about time travel, or your own particular preference or favorite piece of time travel fiction or literature perhaps, and maybe bring it to the thrift store to add to the proceedings. The gravity A field and the gravity B field would interfere with each other. And this is kind of, again, sort of the gravity field and the gravitational pull of the moon. That if maybe we had large sort of foreign objects that come in between the two, they would sort of have a disrupted to it in Infinite Crisis on Multiple Earths. If you believe in parallel dimensions and that we're mirrored, that somehow maybe the dimensions could somehow entwine and invert in gravitational pull of one dimension interacting and interfering with the gravitational pull of another one, because if they're mirrored they'd sort of be opposite perhaps, like when you look in the mirror for everything's back to front. So if you had a parallel universe in the upside down, or whatever you want to call it, if it kind of come in disruptive and stuff like that. Interference outside of the probably. This is a deep rabbit hole that I need to know more about, because you've got me at a disadvantage at the minute, but you also have me a little bit fascinated, DS, with that, meaning it can be used in a little bit back. You know, this technology exists, it's there. Is there a patent on it? Devil speak, there probably is. That if they have this technology and they developed it and they spend years and money and effort researching and developing, perfecting it, why wouldn't they use it? Just like MK Ultra, just like Monarch programming, they went to the trouble of perfecting it, and I believe anti-gravity, and this would help spaceships, right? Brilliant. Loving it. Can we do a little loving it dance? but as I said, why would they go to the trouble of producing it if they weren't going to use it? So I just noticed, guys, we have gone over the 1 hour 30 mark, so guess I'm gonna have to try and wing it for another so kind of get to 1 hour 30 is kind of like the minimum amount of time I like to do a live show. I don't know why, it just sort of seems a nice amount. 90 minutes, I guess. Sort of sign up for a little bit of fun and entertainment. I don't know what you sign up for, but in my mind, in theory, is that's a good amount of time. And then I sort of think, well, okay, when it gets to an hour and 30 and I go over and like, okay, well, we can wrap this up an hour 45, and then usually it goes on to 2 hours. And I'm almost certain, who wants to put a pool that Gusset Girl's going to end up, like, it's 1 hour 33. My intent at this minute is to wrap it up at 1 hour 45. Sorry if my OCDs and time stuff kind of bugs you. Forgive me. But does anyone want to play a little game? Becky's already here, Nancy. She's already here. That doesn't count as a time. Don't make me send you to the naughty corner. That was where you used to have to be for shitty cards. But who wants to bet that in the next 11 minutes between now and the hour 45 minute mark that we're going to get a Gusset Girl? I'm going to think it might be Anika. If anyone's showing up, it's Anika, I think. Any guesses or bets? Someone look it up on the German chart. Maybe, is it, yeah, we'll look it up, or devil speak. Better still, if you want to look some of this stuff up and email it to me, I can incorporate it into a future episode, a future presentation. I do like to leave you laughing. I think, a little bit in sort of some of the recent streams that have been a little bit hard and heavy in the mind control, social media manipulation and stuff like that. Maybe, we needed a little bit of break and sort of a little bit of freestyling tonight and some fun and games and a few laughs do help. Laughter is a wonderful tonic and medicine, and it will also release natural dopamine. And Share Bear is being the lone wolf over on TS Prepper Facebook. Oh my God, you know what I didn't do today? Our little things. YouTube. Oh, hang on. There it is, better placed. Wait for it. Twitch. And of course, ShareBear is over there on Facebook, holding the fort there. Where's Taco Muncher tonight? That's the one Twitch. I can't say it's a troll, because it doesn't really troll. It doesn't say anything unkind. It actually kind of says that I'm cute and I should unbutton my shirt. Although it's not really what I'm here for, but if the money's right. Well, I'm glad that I've jogged your memory. And again, something that I do try and aim for is to spark a little bit of ignition for information, knowledge, educational learning, stuff like that. Start getting you thinking, and that's sort of what we're trying to avoid, becoming drones in the social media engineered hive minds. We don't want to share and like and agree with everybody else. We want to contribute and contribute. Is that the same word? I think it is. I don't know what I'm saying now. Just trying to do it, but when isn't it a better past time to come together and collect and work on something that we can all be a little bit maybe proud of in putting together and joining the dots. So Martha, we are going to do a UFO special. You've got some UFO stories. Vincent, you've got some UFO stories. That's a special waiting to happen. That's an episode. So we're going to go time travel tomorrow. Maybe we'd do aliens on Thursday. Does that work for you guys? Unless you want to choose tomorrow what we do on Thursday, we can go that way if you want. But definitely tomorrow we're going to go time travel. Vincent, you guys know what a search is on for 2 new weekend weapons. They plan December the 17th. It was December the 13th, actually. But something else I was talking about, Annie, about from Prepper Chicks, was something happening between Halloween and the 13th of December. And in regards to Jericho, do you remember that TV show Jericho? Love Jericho. It was a great show. Shame it was on network TV. It would have been better as an AMC or HBO, or dare I say even on Netflix. They'd have probably done a little bit of a better job, because networks, they kind of have restrictions and stuff. But Jericho was about how a very large sort of militarized industrial corporation infiltrated the United States government in an attempt to bring down the United States federal government. They brought in 21 nukes, I believe, that they detonated around major cities in the United States. Broken Arrow, was that the John Travolta movie when a nuclear... I've seen it, but I can't remember it. A missile went missing, right? In the Broken Arrow, that was the code word for when one goes back. So that's some interesting information there, Vincent. Let's hope not. But not only Jericho, also the Watchmen movie, not the comic book, which I'm a fan of. The movie wasn't a bad adaptation. It was pretty spot on with some visuals, except for the fact that they majorly changed the ending, which in the Watchmen graphic novel comic books, the ending was a staged hoax alien event, which was very Project Bluebeam-esque, but in the movies they changed it to a series of nuclear bombs. It wasn't just in the United States. I think it was 21 or 23 bombs that they placed around the world at major cities. Suitcase nuke. War Games as well, that was about nukes, right? The guy, War Games, the computer game, Matthew Broderick, back in the 1980s, I think that was 1984, hacked into the defense computer system and thought he was playing a video game, but he was about to launch all the nuclear missiles. So that's an interesting topic maybe we can put together. So this is good, and as I said, what I kind of like and have attempts to do is to try and get you guys not only to watch, but to contribute and sort of think about what you've watched. As I said, we don't want the sort of, dare I say it, the can hams that are just here. Oh, I love time travel tea. And you know what I like to do sometimes in my spare time, guys? I like to shit in a cup. Oh my God, tea, that's my life. I've been shitting in a cup forever. And I can see, realize. And there's also the other saying, you cannot bullshit a bullshitter. Folks, not that I'm bullshitting any of you. I try to keep this as real and truthful as I can, and by real and truthful, I'm a real person. The opinions and thoughts I bring to you are my real thoughts and opinions. I'm not necessarily saying they are the truth, the church, that's 100%. They are truthful opinions that I have. Whether or not the opinions are in fact factual is another thing. But we look at the evidence, I look at the observations, I piece things together, try and figure out and try to share that with you guys. You're going to love two of them, scary close, the 2-4 star spec op generals. My goodness, Vincent, I'm loving your content today. So, devil speaking, Vincent, you kind of are the gold star students of tonight's stream. Not that we kind of play that kind of game here, and we're not playing favoritism, but certainly I really do appreciate the fact that you have contributed an awful lot in the chat tonight that has helped fuel me through a show that I really had absolutely no idea of the direction this was going in tonight. But knowing T, knowing you has kind of worked out quite well. We've got to know a little bit more about the minds of some of our new members to the thrift store, and hopefully you've got to know a little bit more about me. Again, for some of those newer comers, some of you old guard here might know some of the stuff that I repeated tonight. So okay, it's 1 hour 42 minutes, 3 minutes we still haven't got to see a gusset girl. Sorry about that. I didn't want to say about, don't apologize at the thrift store, Vincent. That information could be vital to us, and let's hope it's not, but if it is, then we will. But there's a nuke lost off of Georgia long ago. Is this Georgia Tech, like the United States, or Georgia the Soviet nation? I was reading up on that. Shah Vents. Are you talking to Vincent there, or share what you've been reading up about Nancy. That would be great. I would love to see a book report from Nancy. Maybe we could have a special dedicated Nancy special 30 minutes in the next couple of weeks. If anybody wants to see that, we could get our little favourite Cajun agent up on the stage and give her the mic and see what she can say, although there's no stage. But there is a little mic there. I don't know if you can see it. $2 that cost me on off of eBay. So it doesn't look like we are going to get a Gusset Girl. So we will be wrapping this up in the next one at 1 minute and 45 seconds. And cue Almal. No, she's not there. We've all got to lean on each other right now, Vincent, and something I always say at the end of every stream and every episode is we've got to be excellent to each other, and more so now than ever do we need to be excellent to each other. Humanity is taking a beating. Humanity is under a psychological warfare. Many of us don't even know who or what we're fighting for, but we have to try to figure out who and what we're fighting for. And I like to think that this little small band of Thrift Fam community members that we have here, we're a little bit like the Ewoks on Endor. And remember, guys, the Empire, they had told the Rebel Alliance, yeah, they give them all the information. The Emperor's going to be on the Death Star. It doesn't work. You're all right. Here's all the information. Here's the codes. Here's a stolen shuttle. Come, do your worst. Bring all your ships, Rebellion. And it was all part of a plan to destroy them, give them the information, false flag them in, psychological operation, take them out in one swift blow. The one thing the Empire didn't account for, and the Emperor, all-powerful, all-wise Palpatine, could manipulate the Force, could create life, unnatural gifts, didn't account for the Ewoks. And without the Ewoks, remember the bunker, scout walkers, biker scouts, stormtroopers, the elite divisions of stormtroopers they sent down to the forest moon of Endor, they were all there. Han Solo, Chewie, Princess Leia, the crack rebel commandos at gunpoint. The shield was still up. The Millennium Falcon being flown by Lando Calrissian couldn't get through, couldn't get into the Death Star. And it wasn't until the fucking Ewoks turned up that shit got real. Guys, we're the Ewoks, we're the Thrift Fam. We gotta fight against the Death Star, in not like the real Death Star, the metaphoric Death Star of the New World Order and the one world government waiting to happen. We don't want to be obliterated by their fully operational battle station. We need to fight back. And wisdom comes with age. We're going to do a Star Wars special as well. We're definitely going to. And that's what I'm saying. Ewoks, people. The fucking nobody saw the Ewoks coming. I'm pulling your finger. Look, there we are. We've gone over the 1 hour 45 minute mark. God, do we have to go on to it? Does anybody want me to go on for another 14 minutes, or should we just wrap this up? I know I kind of did that. The older you get, the less you can trust. That is true, and sometimes you have to push to piss. I am at that push to piss stage, and it's getting old, although I can still fart without too much of a worry right now. But I knew you would say go ahead. Do you mean go ahead, or you like talking to a spirit that is made itself apparent in your close proximity, Nancy, and it's just a floating head, and you're like, go ahead, sure, get out, be gone with you. Don't know why you sounded Irish. I should have done my southern accent. No, that's Irish again. I used to do a southern accent once upon a time. Can you all remember when I speak like southerner? And you say, down on the bayou, we do like to drink ourselves a drop of sarsaparilla, so we do. Let's give our host a break. Yeah, no, you're right, guys. Let's not push the boat too far, and let's not joke the shark, jump the shark, as they did in Happy Days and the Fonz. But I did get a little bit excited talking about the Ewoks then, and I was about to break into. Can anybody remember the Return of the Jedi at the end, the original one, before they did the special editions in the 90s? But the song at the end, dun 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 dun. Devil, really? You're from the bio, Nancy. You've got a friend, look. You've got a friend in me. I mean, you've got lots of friends in us, but I didn't realise you were down in Louisiana, Devil Speak. Nancy's in Louisiana. Maybe you guys could get together. I mean, I'm not saying you should get together, but it'd be kind of nice to think that maybe down on a little porch in Louisiana, Devil Speak and Nancy are sitting there with a freshly batch of pumpkin moonshine, and maybe Devil Speak's brought a big pound of his weed that he trimmed and chopped up and shared with her. That would be nice. And maybe he could bring a deer. They could cook a deer together. Oh, Devil's in Oregon. All right. Okay, you're from there, but you've since moved. Smoking pot. Okay, guys. Well, there we go. On that note, we are going to try and wrap it up. 1 hour, 50 minutes. That's not such a bad number in terms of cemetery. Unfortunately, we didn't get a Gusset Girl. Their loss. Tomorrow we will be back again at 9 p.m. Eastern, which I do believe for those of you who are not on the Eastern time zone will be 8 Central, 6 Pacific. If you're elsewhere in the world, I don't really know. You're shit out of luck. But we do have a couple of Australians and a couple of folks back in my native United Kingdom that do tune in from time to time. So guys, thanks for joining me tonight. It actually turned out to be a great show. I did have a little bit of a sinking feeling before I did start tonight, but all's well that ends well. Thanks for joining me. As I said, guys, you have been a great audience. We'll see you tomorrow again at 9 p.m. Oh my God, I forgot. I got to get my little intro music in. There it is. Maybe I need to do a different outro piece of music. If anybody wants to see a different outro music, I'll get onto it. But thanks, guys, for watching. It was Tsp Tv. It is, as always, a shit video production. We'll see you in the next one. Till then, keep it thrifty. I've got a burp, baby pee. One. That's for you, darling. But we'll see you again tomorrow on Tsp Tv Live. 2 Nights of Tea continues as we celebrate 2 years of Tsp Tv. Until then, keep it thrifty, guys. And remember, be excellent to each other.